everyone. Welcome to the CollabCast. It's me, Katie, editor, and I'm here with Jayana LaFountaine, a wonderful photographer based out of Troy now, but kind of grew up in Schenectady, so you're back. Welcome.
Hi. Hola.
How's it hanging?
It's
Good?
it's hanging.
Great, I'm glad. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So nice.
Honestly.
Really looking forward to some projects that you have coming up that we'll talk about in a bit. But for now, I just figured we'd start by talking about how you got into photography in the first place, because you have kind of like a really beautiful story. So I'd like to just like dig right into it. Not to hype you up too much, but
Yeah, too much hype. I don't enjoy the hype. I don't have. Is this like an ASMR mic? Okay, we're done. Sorry. So I began photography at about age 13, I believe, 13. So my foster mother, whom I love dearly, my mom, Jackie, passed away a few days before Christmas. And I realized I didn't have like a crap ton of pictures with her, and I was just like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna like remember what she looks like? And I had like 3 pictures of her, and I was just like, my grandmother had adopted me by then, so I was like, okay, it's a few days before Christmas, I know it's late, but I need a camera. Like,
yeah.
I absolutely need a camera. So I got to open my presents early, and I got a cute little pink point and shoot, really crappy, like, was it like 3 pixels or something? It was the ugliest thing ever, but it worked for me. And I grabbed it and I was like, okay, I'll never stop taking pictures after this.
Yeah.
This makes sense to me. So from then on, I decided that it would be like, it's imperative that you get photos of every single person that you love and that you know that you come in contact with, because it's like, when you're gone, how are we going to remember you, or how are we going to tell stories and like put a face to the name kind of thing. And I also went to Craig Street Boys and Girls Club here in Schenectady, and they had a photography program that they had started, and one of the women that was running it actually gifted me like my first DSLR. It was a Fujifilm.
Whoa.
And I was, still taking pictures of, like, my family, like, for personal reasons and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I gravitated towards, like, objects, like my baby dolls. And I have, like, these headless dolls that I found in my art teacher's room. And I was just taking pictures of these, like, headless dolls. But at the Boys and Girls Club, they were like, oh, we want you to go around with this camera and take pictures of your community. And I took a picture of like a red Solo cup in the middle of like our street. And I was like, this is my community. Hey. And I was like, ooh, I think I like I like the way this looks. I didn't understand what like rule of thirds was or composition or anything, but it felt right in my soul. And it was just like, wow, I like this. I feel safe. I feel comforted. It's like it felt like home for me. Like photography felt like home for me. So that's how I started taking photos. And then people came along. I don't know where the people came from, and I was just like,
they just showed
okay,
up.
here we are. I had a friend who had a daughter, and when she was born, I was just like, cute baby, let's take some photos. And I started taking her pictures, and then she would post them, and other people were like, oh, who took your photos? And I'm like, oh, Jayana did. And from then on, like, I started, like, getting people, and I was just like, I regret this. Because I'm extremely apprehensive to, like, people. So, like, learning how to be social through my photography has been great. It's helped me network a lot. Otherwise, I'd be like just a recluse little hermit in my house forever, taking pictures of headless dolls.
It's your ultimate form.
Yep. I'm just like, yeah, my pretty. Yeah.
I mean, it's so, like, kind of thinking about it and, like, being apprehensive around people, or like a lot of people struggle with like social anxiety. It can be really hard to like enter into somebody's world or like space with a camera, and like it's really intimate.
My goodness, it is.
How do you sort of like work through that or
I believe that my ability to connect with myself is what allows me to connect with others. when you say intimate, when I think intimacy, I think honesty. So I ask anybody that steps in front of my camera, be honest with yourself. You know, you don't need to pretend to be anything but yourself in front of me. And I have this innate ability to just make people feel comfortable. So they get to talking about life and like stuff, and then I just start capturing like, you know, whatever is in front of my camera because I see beauty in everything. So it's just a matter of like being honest with yourself and loving yourself. So making people comfortable in front of my camera has never been an issue for me. And also outside of like my like personal social life, I'm actually pretty bubbly like when I'm working. So there's like a huge difference between the two. Because like me at home is like dark Daria kind of. Like a darker Daria. I'm just like, I just want to be silent and I want passive company. I don't want you to talk. I just want you to sit here. But when I'm outside working with like the children, because I usually do children, I'm just like this bubbly giant like personality, and I'm like running with the kids and I'm joking with mom and dad and like all the things. So there's that too. So it's like a switch.
I know you do a lot of like baby photos too. How did you kind of like jump into that world?
Babies are like the most real with themselves because they don't know any other way to be but just be. They're like super organic and they're just so they're so cute. Like they're just so tiny. They got like little hand dimples and they're just adorable. I just love the babies, but they don't, you know, ask me to take 10 pounds off of them via Photoshop or anything because, you know, they're babies. And they're just so sweet, and it's so calming. It's like quiet. Like my newborn sessions I enjoy very much because it's like 90 minutes of like just shushing a baby and like listening to white noise or like rain sounds, and it's so calming for me. And kids keep you sharp. Like that's like they keep you sharp, okay? And they force you to be present because you have to pay attention. You have to be there for them. And if you're not, they're gonna like call you out. Like they're either gonna cry a certain way or they're gonna say something if they're old enough to talk and be like, "Hey, you weren't really paying attention." I'm just like, "You're absolutely right."
So. Like, what's good? I'm so hungry right now.
Exactly. But I really, really just love children. They just make my heart smile, honestly. It's really simple.
So cool that you like are able to connect and sort of like this family dynamic in a way, which is really interesting to me. Like sort of like getting involved with small children and babies. And I know you recently did a shoot of an actual birth, which was like has to be so intense.
My goodness.
I mean, you know, these opportunities kind of like come up so randomly, but did you, over the course of kind of exploring photography, did you have interest in getting into like photojournalism, or was it mainly for the art?
I didn't have an interest in like in the beginning, but like I said before, like my first like photo project was
like
photojournalism, like documenting what your community is. And I didn't know that I was a photojournalist or a documentarian until I like go to like events and I step back and I'm like, wow, I get different, like the way I shoot is just so, I don't have a word for it. It's like I get like certain details that other people aren't thinking of, and like I make people like, I feel like I make people like you're there, you're at that event. Like you're gonna see the small things that you would see if you were there. You're gonna feel what I felt, you know, because I'm capturing exactly like feelings, like what I feel and what other people are feeling. But my big brother, he was like, "You're a documentarian. You're a photojournalist." And I was just like, "No, not me. No."
Yeah.
And then
it feels like such a heavy word.
Yeah, because I was just like, "That's so professional." So he said that to me, and I was like, "You're absolutely right." And then I went on and did that birthing session, and watching somebody give birth is like otherworldly, okay?
Yeah.
They're like,
I trust you.
not in like a puke kind of way, but just like I was in absolute awe the entire time. Like I stayed there. When did I get there? I got there at like 7 p.m. and she didn't have the baby until like 8 or 9 the next morning. I stayed there the entire time, and her her birth in particular was so calm. Like, she barely screamed. Like, she was just really calm about everything. And I was just like, wow, this is great. And, like, you know, her parents came to visit, and I was just getting pictures of, like, them holding hands with her, and, like, her hands holding on to, like, the hospital bed, and, like, all of the emotions, all the things.
Like, heavy moments. And
it was so heavy. I was like, oh my God, this is great. And then there's, like, this one picture where she's, like, giving birth, and the light from there's, like, a light at the top, and it's, like, shining down on her, so it looks like the baby's, like, coming out, and, like, there's light coming out of her vagina, basically, it looked like. I was like,
amazing.
Oh. So, like, and those, like, that was, like, when I was like, oh, I am a photojournalist.
Yeah.
This does belong in a blog somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God, it's so great. Oh,
doing the work.
doing it.
So I wanted to touch on sort of building off of that, the project that you've been working on for a while, Dear Mama, which is, I think, really important about, you know, documenting and also getting that honesty that you are really good at kind of like pulling out. Can you talk a little bit about sort of how it came together?
Yeah. So I went to Electric City Barn and finally saw Richard Loverich's Makers 365. I was like, wow, this would be really cool if it was all moms. And I was like, Mothers 365. And I was like, that sounds like Richard's. Let's not. So I then, you know, Dear Mama, like, by Tupac is just always a song that, like, resonates with me. And it's just like an open letter to the moms, you know? I love Dear Mama. But my first mom that I interviewed, because I'm just, like, trying to gather, like, the proper amount of moms, the different stories and stuff. But my first mom was Noelle Gentile, and she has a wonderful, wonderful child named Isla Kai.
She's the best.
And Isla Kai is different abilitied, right? And to sit with Noelle and talk to her about that and, like, her triumphs, her struggles in motherhood. And we sat at a park that they go to regularly that is, you know, has equipment that is accessible for everybody.
Oh, nice.
And so she was sitting on that swing, and she was just talking about, like, what motherhood is to her, what she's learned from motherhood, and then oh, man, sorry. it was just like she started crying, and like I was just like, oh my gosh, like. And it was just me asking simple questions and kind of like forcing like moms to check in with themselves, because I asked them, like, how have you remained an individual even though you've become a mother? Right. Because once somebody becomes a mom, I kind of feel like it's, oh, that's so-and-so's mom. Oh, hey, mom. It's, you know, and they're like, they're still people. Like, they just have children, you know? And they're still very much individuals. So I want to bring those, like, I want to, like, just shed light on, like, all of the moms and, like, and not even just, like, biological moms. Like I said, I was a foster kid, so I had, you know, my foster mom, I had my biological mom, my grandmother adopted me, and I have had, you know, countless amounts of mentors that were maternal, you know, to me. And so it's, like, aunts and surrogates and people who have lost children, people who can't have children, that want children, and all of the things. Man, moms just need so much recognition. Like, they do so much, and they're just wonderful humans. Like, where would we be without them? We wouldn't be here, you know? And like just motherhood is so close to me. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But that's also, like, a big thing that's, like, on my list of to-dos in life, is to become a mother. And, like, so, like, to learn from a bunch of different moms what their experiences are. And possibly, like, use them to my advantage is great too, you know? So, like, I'm like, oh,
it's like
great.
A little guidebook.
What else do I need? What? Oh, they're gonna poop on me? Great, go. Like, so I'm working on that project. It's at a little bit of a standstill-ish, because I'm, like, this summer is really busy for me. So I'm just trying to find more moms that want to tell their story, that, you know, are willing to be open and raw, you know? Because I don't want, like, the cookie cutter, like, my kids are the greatest thing ever, and, like, I don't want to do anything else. And it's just like, what about you? What's me? You know, I don't want, I want you to just be real. You know, I did my sister too, and she was like, I think the first thing she said on camera was, "This shit is hard." And then she was like, "That's it." I was like, okay.
Yeah,
But,
that's, I mean, one of my favorite things about the project, just like as you had described it to me before, is like asking moms about what's really happening all the time, and not just like, yeah, sometimes it's hard, but I still love it. It's like, yeah, we know like you love it, but it's okay to admit that it's like really hard sometimes,
Right.
and that like some days are the worst, and it doesn't mean that you like love your kid any less. Or,
Right, because
yeah.
if I can be very frank, sometimes kids are assholes. They can be, and it's, you know, because they're brand new to the world. They don't know, you know, they're so new. Like they've only, like the moms that I've had, I think the oldest kid is maybe 6. Like they've only been here for 6 years. They don't know, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to teach them, and that's difficult. Being a teacher is hard.
Yeah.
And then taking a step back and understanding that your kids are also teachers can be hard. That's why I asked, what have you learned from motherhood? What have you learned from your children?
Yeah.
You know, because they are teaching us, like all the kids teach us. We just have to pay attention, you know, listen to the kids, bro.
Yeah. That's right.
But yeah, so that I'm hoping to you know, and hopefully in the fall, like full force with it, and get into like a gallery so I can have like a nice opening and do like have my first art show. That's like the goal. So that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've been kind of like rolling like a high-speed train so far, just like nonstop, it seems like.
It is nonstop. And I mean, it's my first year being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, like really going for
like
it.
a lot. I think what was my March 21st was my like 1 year of like owning and operating Jayana LaPhotos, excuse me. Whoa, Jayana LaPhotos as a full-time photographer and entrepreneur, and I was just like, I don't know when to stop. Wow. Like, you know, and I'm also building everything from the ground up.
Right.
I work for myself by myself. I do all my marketing and like everything, like the social media, the marketing, the bookkeeping. It's so much. So it's a train, a train that's on fire. But I love heat, so it's okay.
I love heat. That's so crazy.
What am I gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, between like baby photo shoots and you do like the boudoir as well.
Yes, I do.
I'm also looking forward to that project that's coming up.
Yeah.
It's a Book of Jayana. Are you sticking with that?
I think I am sticking with the Book of Jayana. So it's an ode to myself, and it's going to feature some of my personal like boudoir photos, and just like portraits of me that I have had archived for 3+ years that I just don't share. Everybody thinks I share a lot on social media. I'm like, I got 5,000 photos sitting somewhere, you know. But it's my way of like telling myself I love you. And I feel like it's like somebody's gonna be like, oh, that's extremely narcissistic, just a book of you. And I'm like, yeah, I said what I said. And I mean, like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I feel like we talked about it earlier, like how powerful images are and how important it is to document. I mean, like, not only just to be like, I love myself how I look now, like I love myself then, and like it's like, I don't know, I think more people should do it.
It's like a great compilation of just like everything that is me. It's like, that was me at 200 pounds. This is me at 150. This is me when I weighed nothing. Like, and like, it just doesn't matter, you know? And I'm like, I love myself enough to do, like, to take photos and like document everything. And I always get kind of pissy when people are like, oh, you take so many photos. I'm just like, leave me alone.
We can do that now.
Yeah, like we can do it, you know? And it's like I have a photo for every single thing, every experience that I've had. I'm like, I wonder, I don't remember what I was wearing that day. I know what the date was. I'm going to go back and find it. Yeah. Oh, that's what I was wearing. Or, oh my God, this is how I looked then.
Yeah.
And I get to see my growth via photos.
Right.
And I'm like, wow. Like 2 years ago, I was not in the greatest space. Like I was like in the worst space of my life. Like my whole world was like rocked and shaked and broken. And I was like at the bottom of that, you know, I was just at the bottom of all the debris, and I was just like, I'm never going to get out of this. I'm not going to climb out of it. And for me, like, taking photos and, like, forcing myself to get up and get dressed, even, like, and pulling myself out of, like, my depression and, like all of the things, it's just like, all right, I'm going to get dressed today. I'm going to put on some lipstick. I'm going to feel good, and I'm going to take a photo. And that helped me. Like, it's like, you feel good, or you look good, you'll feel good kind of thing. So that's like, it's just, I don't know, it helps me, okay?
Yeah.
It's very helpful.
So important.
But the book is going to feature, like, some of my faceless photos. Like, my personal Instagram right now, I've not posted my face in, I think, 3 months until I'm, like, going to release the book, which I need to probably hurry up and do. It was supposed to be today, but, again, I've been busy. So hopefully July 21st, I need some help with the creative design. I think that's what's stopping me. Jamel said he was going to help me.
Let's hold it to it. We'll document it.
Accountability.
That's right.
So, but yeah, it's going to be really dope. And, like, I'm playing with lighting, and I have, like, other photographer friends that have helped me with, like, photos here and there.
Nice.
So it's not just going to be, like, just my face. Like, I mean, this is a great face. But it's going to be more than that, and it's not going to be like any, like, oh, she's posting her nudes all in the book. Right. No, you're not getting that. I put this ring on my finger. Whoa. They're going to be, you know, like, tasteful, I guess, if you will. What's that word? Implied.
Okay.
Implied nudity. Yeah.
Ooh.
Sexy. But yeah, so that book is going to be great for me. And then hopefully after I release that book and figure out the process, I'll be able to release more books. Like, you know, I can do a Dear Mama book, and then I can do, like, a baby book, and so forth and so on. So it's like a catalyst for, like, all the other things to come.
Yeah.
So
start with yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Start with me.
So
Who better?
Great. How's it been to be, like, in the first year of your business and sort of, like, living and working in this area? I mean, like, how's the creative community been around you? I mean, I know you just mentioned that you're going to get some assistance from Jamel, but...
So luckily I fell into, like, the proper group when I got out of, like, a relationship, and I was just like, what do I do?
Yeah.
I fell into, like, a creative crowd of, like, mainly Black and brown people, which is something I had never seen before. So that was like, oh my gosh, there are people that look like me, that sound like me, and are also in the arts and are making a living off of it. So the creative community, my creative community rather, has been extremely great and beautiful to me. Like, I met Richard Lovrich through Jamel. We, like, went and shot, like, this fancy party in, like, New York City on, like, a rooftop for, like, Andy Warhol's friends or something. I was like, how did I get here? So the creative community has been great to me. And then I met Richard there, and he was like, you know, and then now I've met you, and, like, the collaborative. Savannah White.
Look at it. It's so great.
But yeah, I it's been, like, without the community, the creative community that I've fallen into, I wouldn't be as far as I am now. Like, Power Breakfast was extremely helpful to me because I got to network with people that were like-minded individuals, and even people that were not of the same mind as me, because you need, you know, different, that's what makes people great, is their individuality. So, like, just talking to a bunch of different people and, like, learning whatever I need to learn from people.
Right.
Like, that, like, Power Breakfast was, like, clutch for me. I was like, yes, thank you. I don't know where you came from, but thank you.
I know. When it gets to that point when you have to talk about your, like, goals, it's like,
it's just like,
sweating.
What are my goals?
I'm like, what am I doing?
Measurable goal. I'm like, okay, all right. But yeah, I think it's been pretty good to me. I live in Troy, which is a pretty small town. It's really cute, you know. And I live downtown where everybody's like, hey, neighbor. And I'm like, hi, person. You know, so it's easy for me to walk outside and see familiar faces and, like, ask for favors from, like, the local business owners. Be like, hey, can I use your space to shoot? Like, I live, like, close to Little Pecs. So, like, Vic Christopher, I go over to him and I'm like, hey, I want to shoot a baby like upstairs in the bar while it's closed because the lighting up there is great. And
Yeah.
he's like, all right, just,
Go for it.
Send me a picture when you're done. Great. I love it. Like they're so supportive and kind. And I think that's what's keeping me like in Troy right now is like people are just so supportive and they want to help you.
For sure.
It's just like, we want to give you resources. Like, come on. So that's been really cool.
So valuable.
Yeah, extremely valuable. Because I didn't know community before that, like this heavy, like.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And like being somebody that's as apprehensive as I am to people, I was just like, I don't think so. I don't know if this is gonna work, But then I let my guard down a bit, and I'm like, oh, okay, all these opportunities. This is cool. I like this, So
exactly.
It's been really good for me. Yeah.
Solid. I'm so excited to see your projects. It's going to be really great. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Such a nice little chat.